Howdy, folks. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Well, it looked like it was a boring day. 2 games in the NHL last night. The Leafs, was were puffing on the tailpipe against the LA Kings, and we're going to talk about that. And then all of a sudden, the Backstrom announcement comes, and then we just had some breaking news, and then some news from the NHL offices, and now we have a general manager being fired. And yeah, somebody's giving me a thumbs up there. I don't know how. Again, I don't know how the hell that's happening.
I told you. I tried clicking on it for the fun of it. It won't click. I don't know how that all happened.
I don't know how that's happening. What's going on? But hey, thank you.
You saw it this time. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll start with the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
So something that's going on in baseball is kind of deplorable, and I'm going to write about it in great length for full press. But you should never have a bullpen game for a World Series. If you have a bullpen game for a World Series game, that means you didn't think about it enough in advance to at least get someone on your staff stretched out to maybe where they can go 4 innings in a game. The fact that there was an actual bullpen game in the World Series, I didn't even watch it, Mike, because I knew there's no chance Arizona can win if they throw a bullpen game, and you're already down 2-1 in the series. It was just so ridiculous to me.
Well, this is the funny thing. I didn't even know it was a bullpen game. I turned on the game to check on it, and it was already 3-0.
Right.
Then I turned back and checked on it again, and it was 10-1, and I'm like, what's the point of watching this?
Right.
So, and it's bad when one team is throwing a bullpen game in game 4 and the other team is throwing Andrew Heeney, who is a gas can, who was a gas can with the Angels, a gas can with the Yankees, and seemed to find it somehow with the Dodgers. And I don't know how the hell he ended up with the Rangers, but it's like these are two, with the exception of Eovaldi and Gallen, these are 2 teams, and Scherzer's hurt now. These are 2 teams with unremarkable starting rotations.
Right, but the idea is you had a chance to build up this roster. You had a chance to figure this out. There had to be a better way. You can't. I mean, I get it. Even in the NLCS, if you had a bullpen game, I wasn't going to kill the team.
Sure,
because I figured, all right, come the World Series, they'll have a better answer. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys went to Arizona, and nobody, and actually Nelson pitched 5 innings in relief. So my basic question is, why didn't he just start the game?
Well, he was in the game after it was 10-1, I think.
No, I get it, and so they don't have a lot of faith in him. But
no, I think he was just eating innings to preserve the bullpen for them to potentially. It's like.
But if somebody there can eat innings, there had to be somebody there that could go 3-4 innings to start a game. I'm not even looking for 6 innings, Mike. I'm looking for 3 or 4, but I'm just saying they've lost the World Series probably based on this game.
Yeah, if any team was going to use a bullpen game, you would have thought it would have been the Rangers because they lost the starter.
Right.
I mean, I don't know who they brought on the 25-man roster to replace Scherzer because Scherzer's out for the series.
Yeah.
I know they have Martin Perez in their bullpen, who was a starter that last year had over 200 innings or close to it. I don't know what he's doing this year. I didn't really track the Rangers that much. But the funny thing is, it's like, I'm like, oh, the Rangers might be in trouble. They lost Adolis Garcia. He's out for the series with an oblique strain. And then I turn on the game and it's 10-1. I'm like, I guess they didn't need Adolis Garcia. So not to say this is over with, because you remember what
you never know.
Yeah, remember what happened with the Yankees when they blew out the Red Sox. They were up 3-0 and then whatever. But I think the Rangers are in pretty decent shape.
They are. They're in pretty decent shape, but you basically are handing it to them when you're going to give them a game like that. So I think there's things the sport can do to help this as well.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Wednesday, November 1st, 2023.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Michael Lagello, and this is the HockeyBuzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. And now for the entire month, we will hear about Movember. And I'm already sick of hearing about it, and it's only.
It's one day, Mike. We're halfway into it.
I know. It's like, I mean,
What's wrong with you?
Does this count as a mustache?
It's for charity.
Whatever. I'm sick of it. Just like I know,
be sick of it. It hasn't happened enough.
I'm sick of it. Sorry. And on top of that, I mistakenly was flipping through the FM radio on my car, looking for a podcast or something to listen to. And one of the FM stations is playing Christmas music. And I'm like, okay, anyway.
Yeah, it's a little too soon. I agree.
So we have breaking news. And it has nothing to do with pumpkin spice.
Wait, did Thomas give us this news or?
Did who? Oh, yeah.
No.
Yes, Thomas Boyle gives us breaking news after
Adam Ernie cleared waivers. That was his breaking news.
15 minutes after it broke on Twitter.
No, but he gave us the Adam Ernie. That's big news. Is that bigger than what?
That was a whole hour and 12 minutes ago.
Is that bigger than what you have, Mike? That's the question.
Yeah, sure it is. Okay.
No, is it? I'm asking, is it?
No, no, it's much bigger than Adam Ernie. Okay. I'm sure the only person that it's not as big for is Adam Ernie. But okay, so earlier in the day, the NHL announced that the Ottawa Senators were going to be penalized, and we heard, from Elliot Friedman and from a number of other insiders that there was going to be a penalty about the Evgeny. That something was coming. Now, I'm sure everybody knows now because of the news that just broke, but there was a trade from Vegas to Anaheim, dumping off Evgeny Dadonov's contract. The agent for Dadonov said, you can't trade him to Anaheim. Anaheim is on his no trade list.
Right.
And Vegas was saying, okay, we don't know anything about that because when we traded with him from Ottawa, they said there was, that he had not exercised his no trade list, or they were unaware of Anaheim being on the no trade list. Lo and behold, his agent proved that they had let Ottawa know that they had filed no trade list and Anaheim was on it. That screwed Vegas. They missed the playoffs.
Yep.
Of course, a year later they win the Stanley Cup. But from what Elliot was saying, and I understand this completely, Vegas wanted to be sort of vindicated from the fact that they didn't screw this up, that they were provided bad information by the Senators, aka Pierre Dorian, their general manager, that Anaheim was not on the list because it left them no time to find another home for Dadonov. And in the end, the Vegas was not able to dump his contract to make other moves to enable them to make the playoffs. So, okay. So that's the preamble. The story came out today. The penalty was a first round pick to be decided on in one of the next 3 years. So they have options, but still a first round pick is a first round pick. Brutal.
No, it's brutal because, you don't know when again, what if you bottom out all 3 years? Like, then you definitely don't want to, or even if you're in the top 10 for all 3 years. I mean, you don't want to lose a first round pick, period. But imagine if you're in the top 10 the next 3 years and you're losing one of them because of this.
Right. This is worse than the conditional pick for Matt Duchene because at least they got Duchene.
Right.
So this is a pure and simple penalty of a first round pick.
Yeah,
so
it's bad. It's really bad, and it reflects poorly on the GM. About
an hour and a half ago, a number of different sources were saying there's a 3:15 press conference. Michael Andlauer, the new owner of the Senators are having a press conference. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, Dorians Toast. This is the thing. Right. We've been saying as soon as the ownership change took place, that Dorian was toast. And then Steve Staios leaves the Edmonton Oilers and gets hired as president of hockey operations in Ottawa. And we said Dorian is toast. And then Daniel Alfredsson gets added to the organization and we said Dorian is toast. So does this come as a surprise? No, but this was the exclamation point on the sentence, Russ. And now Pierre Dorian is toast.
Yeah, I mean, it's been coming. there's been some things that have gone on that aren't great. Shane Pinto just not having a contract was a bad look. This is a bad look. You couldn't have him continue being the face of the organization. I do want to, again, like I said the last time, tell like Nick McKinnon, he's like, why didn't Vegas check with the agent? It's not incumbent on Vegas to check with the agent because the team that's traded him to you is supposed to be upfront and giving you the truth on this.
Yeah, if you're Kelly McCrimmon and you're talking with Anaheim and you contact Ottawa, or even going back to the original trade, if they're talking trade for Dadonov with Ottawa and you ask, does he have any no trade restrictions, and he says no, okay, that's
why would you not believe that?
Right, exactly. So, now does it say something? And does it say something that, Dorian didn't know this? Yeah, it does. It does. So maybe didn't intentionally mislead Vegas, but, Vegas.
It doesn't matter. It's mismanagement. Either way.
Vegas was left, to use the old expression, Vegas was left holding the bag of shit. And in this instance, it cost, because remember, they missed the playoffs by what? A point, 2 points?
A point or two, yeah.
Yeah. They would have made the playoffs had they been. Who knows what trade they were going to be able to make if they had been able to clear. And Dadonov played good after the deadline, but that's not the point. They were looking to address a situation by trading Dadonov, and they couldn't address it. Yeah. Oh yes, Randy, I did say a bad word. Tisk tisk. So we don't know where this is going. We'll just say this. The press conference is probably started as of this moment. We don't know. I would assume, on first blush, that Steve Staios is going to take over as general manager.
I don't know that.
But I don't know that for sure. There's been.
I think maybe he takes it over for now, right, interimly, and the ops while they look for one and they elevate somebody else in the organization to be the ASGM for now, and then I think they go on a search because I think new ownership's going to probably want to get involved in this.
Now,
don't you think that?
I don't know.
It's going to affect their next 3-4 years. Like, it's important.
Yeah. Well, and you have to remember, Staios was the GM for Andlauer with Hamilton, with his OHL team.
Sure.
Oh, there's a long history there, and everybody assumed that. Now, if Staios wants to be sort of, it could be a situation, Russ, where similar to Montreal, similar to Vancouver, where the president of the hockey operations is the GM, and
he doesn't have enough experience. That's where you have to bring in somebody else, no matter what you're going to call them. But my whole thing is, look, I know you really well, but if I own the team and I'm letting you, give me a list on the search, we're talking about it because we don't see eye to eye on everything. We know each other. We're friends. But that's the same thing with that. And again, he doesn't have all of that much experience doing this at the NHL level.
Now, Andlauer. No, I'm just trying to update.
What do you think? Staios NHL experience, how much?
Well, not much. He's been part of the hierarchy in Edmonton, but I think it's more. Hey, I might be proven wrong. There's been names like Peter Chiarelli being floated around. I know that Staios has a relationship with Andlauer going back to his ownership in the AHL and the OHL. So if the relationship trumps the experience, I wouldn't be surprised.
You may know how to fix a fuse and rewire a socket. But if I need electrical work on my house, I'm not hiring you, Mike.
No, I wouldn't hire me when it comes to electric stuff. But according to Renaud Lavoie, Andlauer says the last 10 days have been difficult. 2 calls from the NHL, a 41-game suspension to Pinto, and a loss of a first-round pick. I'm sure this is not what he signed up for. No. This isn't now you could say, there you go. Andlauer has nominated Steve Staios as the interim general manager. So
that's what I think.
That doesn't mean that he's going to be the permanent one, but
right.
I would, and that doesn't mean that they don't bring in somebody like Chiarelli or somebody with experience to be part of the management team. But I would really be surprised if Staios is not the general manager. I mean, it's been.
I'm not going there yet.
Yeah,
I think there's a possibility that he still needs to learn more on the job, and based on that, they have to bring in someone with experience. I will say this about Chiarelli: when he was the ASGM in Ottawa, they loved him, and he did a great job, if you remember.
Yes, he did, and it still sticks in the craw of the Senators and Senators fans of what happened as he was walking out the door, because he left as the assistant GM of Ottawa to become the GM of Boston. And lo and behold, as he's leaving, Zdeno Chara signs with Boston. Right. And that changed the course of the history for not only the Senators, but for the Bruins as well, because they decided to sign Wade Redden and let Chara go.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go there. Anyway. Well,
it's that. I mean, that there's no. According to this,
they're not the only team to sign Wade Redden and have bad results. That's well,
true. But at least at that point, you could bury that contract and it wouldn't kill you. CJ Chris Johnston is saying that Dorian resigned.
Does it matter?
Was not fired.
It does not matter.
Doesn't really matter, right? I mean, I don't know how many years Dorian had left on his contract.
I don't think that matters either.
He was dead man walking soon as the new ownership.
Remember, last draft, he had no first-round pick, no second-round pick. Yeah. I think they started in the third round, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but
I watched Pierre Dorian walk around at the draft because they didn't pick for couple of rounds. He was doing interviews. Like, again, this has been coming. So whether he resigned or not, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so let's just briefly here, because we're only going to go about a half hour today. Yes, their first pick was in the fourth round last year. Fourth round. They had a fourth, a fifth, and 3 7/8.
Right. So he didn't have a lot to do with that draft, and I saw that in person. So it's like it started then.
And when they did have a first round pick, their last one was Tyler Boucher. And there's some questions. Yeah. Now he did do a good job when they had 3 first round picks in the 2020 draft, the COVID draft, with a draft where a lot of management teams had a lot of extra time to do scouting, video scouting. They had 3 first round picks, 2 in the top 5, and they got Stützle and Jake Sanderson. They hit big on both those guys.
Yep.
And Ridley Greig as a good
player. He's a good player.
Right, as a late first round pick. And there's some talk, they Tyler Clevin might be.
I like Clevin. He'll play in the NHL.
Yes. But so they did hit on that. They didn't hit on Lassie Thompson in 2019.
No.
And Boucher, he's, there's some question he was possibly even trade fodder.
He's not a top 6 player. I could pretty much tell you that.
Right. So, a tumultuous day in Ottawa, and I think right now. I feel
bad for the Ottawa fans, Mike, because just for this simple reason, they probably felt like the rebuild is over. We've got enough guys here. You could see how Stützle and Sanderson are playing, and it almost seems like they're slipping backward again.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, there's no doubting the talent in that organization. I mean, you've got Tkachuk, you've got Stützle, you've got, I think Batherson is a talented player.
Yes.
You've got Craig, and defensively you've got Shabbat and Sanderson. But they're missing. Goaltending has been an issue. It's like very similar to Edmonton in the sense that they have top end talent at forward. They have more talent defensively than the Oilers do. Goaltending, from Cam Talbot to now Jonas Korpisalo. I mean, they sort of went all in on Korpisalo, thinking the 5-year deal. Remember they were the ones who signed Matt Murray.
Yep.
They thought Matt Murray, so he's had a lot of misses.
To answer the chat room, Drew wants to know how much longer does DJ Smith have? Not much longer.
He's got a year left, I believe.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's not going to be around that long.
No, I mean, but he did outlast Dorian. So
he did.
Ann Lauer says, I'm looking forward to less phone calls from the NHL. That it's good. It's good that he can be lighthearted about this, but I'm sure right now with the Pinto information and with the way the season has started in Ottawa, and also with this news today, I mean, it's not good. You looked at the 3 wannabe teams in the Atlantic Division, the teams that were sort of looking at the top 4 teams and saying, okay, this is an opportunity. Buffalo has stumbled out of the gate. They're under 500. Detroit has played well, but I don't think anybody expects Detroit to be
slipping little by little.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expects Detroit to be able to maintain this pace. Tampa has been, Tampa and Ottawa has struggled, and now all this stuff, and on top of this, injuries to Shabbat for 6 weeks.
This isn't going to help Ottawa play better.
No, it's not. The other news of the day, and like I said, we're going to do a short show today and then probably come back on Friday with a longer show.
A really big shoe.
A really big shoe, yes. Okay, thank you, Ed Sullivan. The statement that came out from Nicklas Backstrom that announced that he is stepping away from the game. I mean, honestly, it sounds like a retirement announcement, but it can't be a retirement announcement because if he retires, he loses all the money left in his contract. So he's not going to retire.
No, he won't.
He's going to go on long-term injury, and
yeah,
I mean, based on this, I think he has 1 assist in 9 games. This is sort of like the end of Zetterberg's career, where he just simply can't play anymore because he's been through the wars. And it's sad because this is a once great player, a guy who won the Stanley Cup, and now he really can't play anymore. Yeah.
When I was with NHL.com, there's a picture also on my Instagram. I interviewed him with those pre-draft interviews, and I'm the only one interviewing him. It was in Vancouver, I think. And I was very enamored with him as a prospect because I saw that he was like really smart, could play the position of center with great ease, play defense. He was pretty much the complete package. And you kind of knew that he was going to be like a star to some degree. And he really has been. I mean, I feel bad about this because I just spoke to someone maybe a year ago at a game, sat next to him. We started talking about Backstrom, and it was one of those things where when we started talking about him, I was finding out about the resurfacing and the special work that he was doing with a trainer to try and get back. And he did get back last year, but you could see, like, I don't know, how many games did he play last year?
Backstrom, he came in halfway through. Yeah.
So, but you could see he wasn't the same. And I was like, all right, let's see what he looks like in the offseason. It didn't happen. But, I mean, he's got over 1,000 points and 1,100 games. He's a guy that probably isn't going to make the Hall of Fame, but he'll probably get his number retired with the Capitals.
Yeah.
That's what I see happening.
Yeah, they were making that argument about Hall of Fame, and I think it's too early to really talk about that. I think he's borderline, but you have to say that he was very important to Ovechkin and Ovechkin's ability to, and eventually Ovechkin, if he does break Gretzky's record, I'm sure probably the first two words out of his mouth will be Nicklas Backstrom, because
of course it will.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's sad. I mean, with Zetterberg, he's a great player, but the wear and tear that some of these players just absorb is unbelievable. He's 35. His career is likely over with. Now, the thing that I know that you brought up this is the same surgery that Patrick Kane had.
Well, no. I didn't bring that up. I said
somebody did. Somebody did in our group chat.
But it's not the same. It was worse. Kane's was not as bad as this.
No. Then that was what I was going to bring up. Backstrom had a degenerative issue, and they hoped that the resurfacing would alleviate that degenerative issue, and that's, I think the difference. I mean, from all indications, they say Kane has come out of his surgery not unscathed. Obviously, so we won't be able to see whether he's the same player until he signs with somebody and plays.
And actually plays.
Right, but yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's sad to see a once great player, his career sort of end in this way.
There's a round a couple of years ago, it was 94 players that had 1,000 points, and so like someone like Kessel, whether he got close to 1,000, he's not going to make the Hall of Fame. No. The other guys, Pavelski has a better chance than Backstrom now because he's healthier, so he's playing more games. Claude Giroux, even he is going to be on the edge of making it to the Hall of Fame. Kovalev, not going to make it, and that's another guy. So, I think that's just the way it is. But with the Capitals, he's a legend.
Yeah. Last thing, just to touch on this, because the news after that outdoor Heritage Classic was not good for the Calgary Flames. Eric Francis reported, I think it was Sunday or Monday morning, that the Calgary Flames have shut down all contract negotiations for players like Elias Lindholm or Noah Hannafin. These were extensions that they were thinking of signing with these players to lock up the core group. They had already locked up Backlund. I don't think many people had a problem with that because he's a lifetime Flame. But in the wake of the Huberdeau contract and the Kadri contract, the new management, Craig Conroy, I guess based on the way they've started this season, they have to, reconsider, do we want to build around this core group when this core group hasn't done squat?
Yeah.
And that's a good question.
I didn't pick them for the playoffs.
Nope.
And I remember Randy was behind that. And it's for that reason that you just said. Brad Treliving signed some of those contracts, but we don't know if ownership kind of made them. So I'm not going to put it all on Treliving. But yeah, they've got some bad deals there. Why add to that? They don't have the deepest farm system. They have some good guys. Connor Zari's coming up. That's good.
Coronado.
Yeah, Coronado's already up. So, like, a lot of their talent's already up. So it's like they almost need to retool. Like, at best, they're getting close to a rebuild. But the thing is, you got Markstrom on the hook for probably, 3 more years?
I think it's 3, but it might be 2. Let me pull it up.
Yeah. So they're going to have to retool.
2 more years at $6 million. But honestly, I think that one is the most tradable because it's only 2 years.
Maybe.
And there are teams out there that need goaltenders. I mean, okay.
He's not good. Like he's lost a lot.
How do you know whether that's the team in front of him and not, more than it is him?
Okay, I know his save percentage is a .901, and that stinks. It's below average.
But the team in front of him stinks.
Okay, so here are his save percentages for the last 4 years. .904, .922, .892, .901. Right. Like, it's not all the team.
No. You understand what I'm saying. I mean,
I do, but I can't just blame it on the team. I've watched him in games.
Okay. Okay, he was terrible in that playoff series against Edmonton. And he probably cost them the series. So, unless there's been an injury issue there, I don't know
about it.
Right now, but what I'm saying is he's 2 years left at $6 million. You just signed Uyghur to an 8-year extension. Year 1 is this year. Now, he's not a bad defenseman, but this is like a Mike Matheson situation where I think he's a good defenseman, but not a great defenseman, and you've got him locked up for 8 more years at 6.25. The Nazem,
we didn't understand that deal. We didn't.
Well, it was basically we lost. Remember they got Uyghur and Huberdeau for Tkachuk. They knew Tkachuk was going to walk away. They get Huberdeau. Huberdeau had a year left in the contract, and they had to overpay him. And coming off a 115-point season, that was say you lock the guy up. Oh my God, it's it makes sense. Problem is that Huberdeau did not want to leave Florida.
Right.
But it's like, okay, well, you're being offered $10.5 million. How bad can it be? Well, apparently it's pretty bad because he's doing crappy right now in Calgary. And he's
one of the worst cap situations in the league. You know what their projected cap space is? $0.
Right. And the worst one of them is Nazem Kadri. Nazem Kadri, they signed 7 years, $7 million per, coming off his best year, winning a Stanley Cup in Colorado. He took the money. He took the term. I don't blame Kadri for doing it. He should have. But he's not a number one center. And on that team right now, once Lindholm leaves, which he probably will, or they try, this is the dilemma right now for Conroy. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 expiring contracts. And these are not like, oh, by the way, players. It's Lindholm, Hanifin, Tanev, Zadorov. Those are the big four.
Pay Hanifin and Zadorov and let the rest go. Trade them.
Well, based on what's just happened, they're not going to pay any of them.
Yeah,
maybe they're pausing right now.
They're just pausing.
But I mean, honestly, if you're talking about paying Hanifin $7.5 million times 7 or 8 years, that's right, thumbs up. You're nuts.
Well, especially here's a guy, Mike. I'm gonna say name this player. He has 9 games played, 3 points. He's a -2, and he makes $4.9 million on that team, and he has 4 more years left, including this year, 3 after this year. Name that player.
Blake Coleman.
Yeah, how good's that contract?
And not very good.
Not very good.
Not very good. And that remember
Is
that
he
was
tradable? No.
I think he's as tradable as Barclay Goodrow is for the Rangers.
No, Barclay Goodrow. What was he making? 2.6?
No, he's making 3 something.
3 something. This is 4.9. This is $5 million.
I know.
And he's about the same output as Barclay Goodrow. A little better. No.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some bad deals here.
There's some bad deals here, and some of them have nothing to do with Brad Treliving. I mean,
no, some of them don't, but some of them do.
Some of them do, and but again, like you said, I mean, Calgary is in a different spot than a lot of teams because that team has to overpay to keep people in Calgary. Just like
Winnipeg. Don't worry about that anymore because nobody's going to want to stay.
Right. That's the thing. If they
get overpaid a lot,
if they decide they're going to rebuild, then they have to sell and sell now.
You can't sell all these guys at once. It's going to be a horrible. They're not going to get what they're hoping to get.
Well, I mean, I think they'll get more than you expect for Lindholm because there's a desperate need for centers out there.
I think Lindholm, you can get a decent amount, and you probably can get the Bruins interested. Yeah. Although the Bruins aren't loaded with young talent, but maybe you can go with them or somebody else. Like I said, I'm going to keep Hanifin. I'm going to pay him if he stays, and I'm going to pay Zadorov because he'll make 4. That's fine. He's still under 30, but yeah, I'm going to get rid of Lindholm. I'm tired of the drama. It's just not worth it. I can't pay Lindholm like $6-7 million next year going forward with this team, and a lot of this team now, the young talent's getting infused here. So they're retooling without telling us they're retooling.
Well, if you're letting Lindholm go, then you may as well rebuild because
Well, I mean, but that's the point. I'm making that decision because that's where this team's headed. Now, I'm not saying rebuild. I'm saying retool. And so, like, now I got to bring up these guys and see what I've got in the minors. And that's, and Zeri's a good start with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's an ugly situation, and I'm sure Randy and I will bemoan this because I look at their situation. Who wants 9? What I'm not sure what Randy's.
I'm not sure what he means. That's why I just asked him.
Yeah. Who wants 8? Hannafin or Lindholm wants 8.
Oh, Lindholm will get 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean,
but they should not pay it.
Well, if he wants 8 times 8,
he won't get that.
Yeah, I mean,
he won't get 8 anywhere if it's for more than 3 years or 4 years. He's probably worth 7 by 7. I would give him that. That's it.
That's the Kadri deal.
Yeah, he's not worth $9 million.
No, he's not. But in free agency, he might get it because everybody gets overpaid in free agency. But the most you can sign free agents for 7 years.
There you go. You know what? The Leafs will trade Nylander because they don't want to give him 10, and they'll give Lindholm 8. That'll be their answer.
No, they won't. That makes no sense.
That's why they'll do it.
No. Yeah. Okay. Russ, the head cheerleader of the Brad Treliving fan club.
No,
right.
I'm kidding, obviously, but I'm just saying.
All right. Good show. We'll be back on Friday with another edition of the Hockey Buzzcast. For Russ Cohen, I'm Michael Agello. Thanks for watching. And remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.